Hey, what's up you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be drawing my New Horizons character, my resident, and also talking a bit about how I managed to get my hands on the coveted Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch console. So, getting into talking about my resident before we get into this ridiculously dramatic story time. Ren is an OC that I created specifically for New Horizons because I thought it would be fun to practice some world building like I mentioned in the last video. I still have not done any sort of anything as far as the webcomic goes other than just sort of conceptualizing it in my mind. I still have no main characters, I still have no plot, no theories or anything about it whatsoever. I am playing with the idea that once I do start developing that a little bit, that I might start posting stuff at the very cheapest tier on my Patreon so that you guys can sort of help me build it, if that makes sense. Just be a little bit more involved and a little more part of developing that process, but that isn't 100% yet. It's just an idea that I'm sort of toying around with. But for now, let's get back into New Horizons. So anyways, Red is my little character. They're non-binary and I'll be using he, they pronouns for them, and I might switch between the two, but if you want to talk about them for whatever reason, either pronoun is fine. Anyways, I don't have a particular age set for Ren. I do want to say I want them to be around 21 to 24 just because that is my age range. And I liked my characters to be, my main characters to be more around my age just so that I can write them more realistically. I have a hard time writing characters that are much older than me and characters that are much younger than me, so I wouldn't want them to be main characters and therefore something that I really struggle with, and also that you guys struggle to relate to because my audience is also generally my age range. So if I had a character that was significantly older or younger than me, it would be hard for all of us to relate to them. So I definitely don't want that to be the case. Also, I just want to reiterate, Ren is not going to be the main character in any sort of webcomic that I do. This is just sort of teaching me sort of how to, for me personally, develop that process of starting to make a webcomic. Anyways, so appearance-wise, they've got lightly tanned skin, reddish-brown hair, and blue eyes. I don't really like either of the eyes that are blue in New Horizons. One of them is far too blue, and the other one is far too vibrant, I guess you could say. If I had to if I had to compare it to a real-life person, I would say it's like Bunny from Graveyard Girl. She is gorgeous, but those eyes are not what I imagined for Ren. I would say that they're more about that same level of darkness, but a lot more desaturated because her eyes are very bright and so pretty. Again, they're so pretty. But there's no mid-tone blue option. There's just it's green, it's blue. So yeah. I would like there to be a more gray option, and it will be more gray in the illustration, but in the reference you guys will see that I did end up going with that dark blue. So, style-wise, I haven't really picked a particular one. I've played with sort of the casual t-shirt and shorts. I've done fancy dresses and hats and regular sundresses and long skirts and ripped jeans and flannel sweaters and the freaking Chesterfield coat. That's one of, I have to call that one out by name because it is one of my favorite items in the entire game, and I have this very specific outfit for Ren, and I tend to switch between the ruffled skirt and the slacks with the Chesterfield coat and a little white beret because I love it and I think it's really cute. So I would say that is an outfit that I would probably draw him in, and that's probably going to be what I draw him in this video. I have not yet recorded it at this time. I'm just doing the voiceover, so if the outfit is different, it means that I have found the outfit, which would be really nice, but it most likely will be that Chesterfield coat because it's adorable and I love it. But yeah, I haven't really picked a particular outfit that I would like them to be in, so until then, it's pretty much free reign. I'll pretty much have him wear anything. So yeah, there is that, and then their personality, I think they're sort of really soft-spoken, but with a determined energy to them. I like to sort of describe it as an introvert, I guess you could say. Somebody, well, maybe more like an introverted extrovert. Sort of like somebody who is like very quiet and soft-spoken in crowds, but if you sort of tend to dwindle it down a little bit more, maybe make it a bit less people, they tend to pipe up more and be louder and more excited. And then also just when meeting new people, very quiet until they sort of get comfortable around that person and they're screaming and yelling and it's ridiculous. So there is that. As far as their personality goes, there is also one particular bit I like to mention, is I play Ren a little bit differently than I would if it was just an extension of me. And the way that I explain that is, in New Leaf, I did not have a problem beating my villagers if I wanted them to leave. But in New Horizons, I sort of, I try my best to refrain from doing that. I have beaten Klaus. I will say that. I want Klaus to leave, and he won't. But I do think that Ren wouldn't necessarily be the type of person to do that. I think that they would go the more diplomatic approach, which would be complaining to Isabel every single day and pushing them around until they get the hit and leave. But it's yet to work with Klaus, so we're gonna have to work on that. But I do try not to smack them because I don't think Ren would be that type of character. So I'm sorry if this was too short or too long for you, but I would prefer to get this linked so that we can get into the real meat of this video, which is the Animal Crossing Switch story, to be specific. So, this actually happened right before our hiatus. I remember this day like it was yesterday, March 13th. Okay, oh my goodness, March 13th. Friday the 13th, a full moon. And I did not pre-order this Switch. I should have known that not pre-ordering it would put me in this absolute mess, but for some reason I had my brain convinced that not that many people would care about this console. Most people already have the Switch and are just excited for New Horizons. They don't need a whole new entire Switch. I was a fool. I was such a fool. So, that being said, believing that I did not need to pre-order it, I went to my local gaming store bright and early as soon as it opened. I was the third person in line. The gates were still up. The store opens 10 minutes late past its opening. We walk in. Again, I want to reiterate, there were 3 people in line at this store. I was the third person in a line that was almost 3 people long, or only 3 people long. So, this sort of is solidifying my oh, not that many people will be out for the console. You know, there's only 3 of us in line right when GameStop opens, right? There can't be that much of a need for this Switch. So, we walk in. All 3 of us are there for this Switch. The wretched Animal Crossing Switch. So, that, for some reason, I had my heart set on obtaining this Switch. So my brother has a Switch. I did not have my own Switch. We, at the time, were just sharing back and forth between the Switch. But because my brother is like a Twitch streamer / gamer / whatever you want to call it, he does tend to need the Switch a lot more often than I do. The only game I really have on the Switch is Splatoon, and I did not have a Nintendo Online account, so I couldn't play Splatoon. So I mostly never needed the Switch, which was great for him, bad for me once I learned that I was going to be obtaining Animal Crossing New Horizons. So that meant that we needed a Switch because otherwise we were going to fight over it and it was going to be ridiculous. So, once I realized that I needed a Switch and that the Animal Crossing Switch was number 1, beautiful, and number 2, the same price as a regular Switch console, I realized I had to get my hands on it. Right, I had my heart set obtaining on this, so we get in there, and the first girl in line announces that she has not pre-ordered her Switch, much to the employees' dismay. Apparently, the overlords at Nintendo do not like to send over more than what's pre-ordered to them. So, luckily for her, there's an extra. 2 extra, to be precise. and I am the third in line of 3 people trying to get the Switch. So I immediately walk right out of the store, determined to go and find another one in another store. Maybe someone else has an extra, so I don't know if we can say actual store names because of copyright, so I will just say I called every GameStop and Worst Buy in my city. None of them had extras. None of them. So I get home and I'm just absolutely devastated, having the worst day ever at this point. Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th has never been so lucky in my... Unlucky. What is wrong with me? Never been so unlucky in my entire life. So, I'm freaking out, I'm crying, I'm being really dramatic about this. I don't have my Switch. It's Friday the 13th. It's a full moon, and the C word got confirmed in my city. So I was also feeling particularly anxious, and I really wanted that Switch to help calm me down, but it did not. Yet. So, again, it's very dramatic, but I think because so many things were building up on top of me on that particular day, it was really affecting me. And I'm only telling you guys this story again because Animal Crossing helped me a lot during my hiatus, and also just because I thought it was a very funny story. So, yeah. Anyways, so you might be saying, well, Simon, how did you get your hands on your Switch if you did not get it in that moment? Well, I will tell you. So, at this point, it's 11 a.m. 1 solid hour after GameStop has opened, and likely no extras in the entire town exist, so I thought. There's already posts on Amazon and Facebook Marketplace selling our beloved console for $400 to upwards of $600 from Nintendo on Amazon, might I add. So, I even saw somebody selling just the dock, not even the console, just the dock on eBay for $160. Not the console, the dock. So obviously I'm really sad. I'm telling my friends about how I've just run all over town and nobody's got this freaking Switch and my heart is broken. But hey, I found a really cute skin on Amazon. It was like this one with Timmy and Tommy, and it was blue, and it was really kind of busy and maybe would have gotten painful to look at rather quickly. But at least it was New Horizons themes and it was really cute. So I almost bought it, but I did not. So I remembered that, like, okay, even if I get a skin, I'm gonna have to go and get a regular Switch. So I get up, ready to go to GameStop again. I walk in, and I'm like, hey, I'm back. Do you have a regular Switch? I'm devastated. I'm so sad. I'm near tears for some reason. I remember almost being ready to cry. So I ask if she has a regular Switch, and they didn't even have that. They didn't even have the regular Switch console. So again, I go home crushed and Switchless, which is so good because had they had a Switch then, I wouldn't have my baby. So, because I was ready to purchase it right then, but they didn't have it. So, I go home again. I'm really sad. My sister-in-law, who is an absolute angel, literally tweeted out on her Animal Crossing Twitter asking if anybody had extras of their new Switch, and was willing to sell it for a price that wasn't horrendously inflated like everyone else was. But before anybody could even begin to offer, I get a message from one of my friends, one of my dear, dear friends, who tells me that our friend who works at Malwart said that they just got a huge shipment of them the day before. And with that info, I just started screaming. I remember running around my house just like trying to find somebody with a working phone. I was like, you're insane. It's what? So now you might be saying, why didn't you check Malwart in the first place? And to that I say, I did. I did check online for days even. Specifically, I would go and I would search up the console. New Horizons didn't even pop up. Can I tell you all that? New Horizons didn't even pop up on it. I would search it. I would narrow down the searches to the store that was closest to me, and then once that didn't work, I would just stop narrowing it down and pray that one store in one part of my city would have it, and it didn't. It never showed up. Not online. It never did. So I had given up on my search at Malwart. Anyways, so once she tells me that, I'm literally losing my mind. I don't know exactly which store my friend works at, so I'm freaking out, and I'm trying to call that friend to be like, which store do you work at? I need that Switch. Hello? And I'm calling and calling, but they are in another call, so I'm like, don't be rude just because you want this Switch. Hang up. So I hang up, and I'm freaking out. And my other friend is like, oh, it's at this store. And I was like, oh no. So I call that store. And I pick up the phone. I'm losing my mind. Keep in mind, it's like 20 minutes later, and I'm starting to convince myself that even if the Switches were there at some point, it's been an hour and a half, and they're all gone. So I finally get the location. I call the store in question, and I am shaking at this point. I'm almost shaking at remembering just the sheer adrenaline that I was going through at this point. So I'm doing like a speed run of their automated system. I'm transferred to electronics, and as soon as they ask me what I need, I'm like, do you have Animal Crossing? Do you have the Animal Crossing Switch? And not the game, like the console, like the Nintendo Switch console. And I'm like holding my breath. She tells me to give her a second and check, or like so she can check, and she's like, yeah, we've got like 6 in the case. And I'm still holding my breath. I am not yet ready to exhale. So I'm like the console, right? Like with the green and blue Joy-Cons. And I'm really skeptical at this point. I'm prepared to have her reply with confusion, or prepared to have to explain what a Joy-Con is, prepared for her to tell me that they have 6 copies of New Horizons in stock, prepared for the absolute answer, which is like just the nope, mistaken, it's just the regular one. But my preparations did not prepare me for this glorious answer. So she's like, yeah, like the green and blue Joy-Cons. And I am finally ready to exhale. I don't want to say I screamed, but I did raise my voice in excitement. So I was like, can you please put that on hold? I was like freaking out. And so she said yes, and I just hung up. I did not give her my name. That was a realization I got to halfway toward the store. I was like, I didn't tell her what my name was. Oh my god, what's gonna happen when I get there to the store? And I'm just like, do you have it? So I was freaking out. Luckily for me, that did not prevent me from getting my Switch. We barrel halfway across town because I really did just go as far as I could to get this Switch. I went to the first person that told me that they had the Switch, and not necessarily bothered checking any other Walmarts, most particularly the one that is very close to my home, because my Walmart never has anything. Oop, I said Walmart. Oops. Malwart does not ever have anything anyways. So yeah, I'm tearing through this store, which is incredibly unfamiliar to me. I don't think I've ever been to this particular Malwart ever. So I was very confused. I was like constantly walking up to people, can you point me to electronics, please? It's really important. So yeah, I was freaking out. I walk up to the counter once I finally get there, and I inform the cashier that I was the one who just desperately asked for them to put the console on hold for me. And she does not bother to really question. I guess I was probably the only one that called freaking out about it, because everybody else in town had already been informed, essentially, that there were none. So, yeah, I remember, I feel so bad. I wish if that man was somehow, like, able to read my mind that day. There was a guy right before I walked into the GameStop to get the regular Switch. He was standing at the counter, and I could just tell by his demeanor. I was like, are you hoping for extra Animal Crossing Switches? And he was like, yeah, I'm trying to get it for my girlfriend. And I was like, I just called everybody in the entire city and there's none. And I wish I could have seen that boy again so I could be like, hey, go to Malwart, go there. But yeah, I hope he got his hands on the Switch like I did. I feel really bad. But, yeah, she didn't really ask any questions because I didn't leave my name. She was just like, yeah, okay, here's the Switch. And as she was reaching back behind the counter, despite the fact that I could see from a distance that it was indeed the very cute New Horizons box, I was still expecting to have it in my hands and it just like morphed into a regular Switch. I was really freaked out. I'm literally expecting anything other than the fact that she was truly about to hand me the Animal Crossing Switch console that I had been searching for all morning. But she does, and it does not feel real. I pay, and it still does not feel real. I drive home, and it still does not feel real. Then I open the box, and suddenly it becomes real. Right at the bottom right corner sat the beautiful console, and to the bottom left, the Joy-Cons. It's completely unboxed and sat gently next to the TV. And then it feels real. And it's beautiful, and it's so cute, and I love it. It is just something that, like, sometimes I look at it and it's just like, oh, my heart, because I remember how difficult it was for me to get it, and the fact that I can just look at it and be like, oh, so cute, I love him so much, he's baby. I just get so excited about it, and it makes me really happy, and I'm grateful for all of the people that put up with my antics that day. I am grateful for my mother to drive me around despite me being so obnoxious that day. I am grateful for my dad, who quickly picked everything up so he could drive me across town to go and get it. I'm grateful for my brother, who helped me afford it. And yeah, it was really, really nice. So yeah, that's it. That's my resident and my incredibly dramatic rendition of how I got my hands on this friggin' adorable Switch that I am so grateful to all of you guys for, because I guess you could say you guys are really part of the reason why I got this. So yeah, thank you to you guys, thank you to everybody that helped me get it, thank you to you guys who sat through this video and this story, even though it was really dramatic and insane for something that was so simple. So yeah, thank you so much. I also want to give a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you, Elise Thompson, for continuing to support me every single month. Thank you guys for putting through all of my shenanigans on this channel and off this channel. So yeah, if you guys want to help me support me and my crazy antics, feel free to check out the Patreon. I do want to say that although I'm not sure about posting any in-progress shots for the webcomic or whatever I decide to do, I do want to post in-progress sketches for other things, or like just secret sketches, because I do like to share my sketches with you guys, but I think they're starting to bog up my Instagram and just make it look a little bit less professional. So I do want to start posting more in-progress shots so you guys can see sort of like the process of how I make my things over on Patreon. That is going to be at the $1 tier, because I just want as many of you guys to be able to see it as possible. You guys will also be able to get some really cool things like your name at the end of this video, wallpapers, free line art, and other cool stuff, so please be on the lookout for please be on the lookout for that. I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.